Hello there, everybody. This is Jack and Fist 900. I'm here to give you my review for the Incredible Hulk live action TV series. Um, for those of you guys that don't know, that series premiered back in the oh man, I want to say 1978. I believe it did anyway. Um, but it starred Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno, and it was possibly it was and is possibly one of my favorite well, it is one of my favorite live action TV shows, mostly because of the fact that that it kind of gives you a an in-depth look in-depth look into each character pretty much. Before this, like before when the comic released back in the 30s, I believe, we really didn't have a accurate, well, not accurate, but like an in-depth portrayal before this. Like the closest, like the first portrayal I believe was back when back in the '60s with an animated series. I watched that and it really didn't appeal to me that much. Um, Mostly because it was like an origin story, which is kind of what the live action series is, but it goes a little more like it's got a little of everything basically. It's got action, which is basically where he hulks out and everything and smashes stuff because that's what Hulk does. He smashes stuff. um, and then there's also a lot of mystery. There's also a tiny bit of romance. Yeah, this series is more on the lonely man that Bruce or David Banner as he is portrayed in the film by Bill Bixby in the film in the live action series by Bill Bixby. Um, it's more of the it's more about the loneliness that he goes through as he's trying to find a cure for um as the as the opening narration says, the raging spirit that dwells within him. It's basically a like like it ran for 5 seasons, spawning I believe a total of 85 episodes or something like that, maybe 55. I'm not so sure. Um, but basically the pilot's a two-parter, so it's like an opening so it's like an origin tale. Um, Basically, I'm gonna give my review for I'm gonna include the pilot in the review because all the other episodes are basically just Banner's attempts to find a cure and everything. So basically well, first off, I'm gonna have to give you guys a history of it. Basically, when I first got into the Hulk and everything, I was maybe 8 or 9, I want to say, um, but back then, my parents had the original had the collection as in like the whole live action series on them on DVD. So basically, every night, well, not every night, but every night when there was time, they would play an episode, and and I thought the banner segments were all right. Well, not all right, but they were really well played. I gotta give credit. I gotta give a lot of credit to Bixby there, and Ferrigno's great as well. But we'll get to that later. Um, Basically, when I first got into it, I was like I said 8 or 9, and um, I would do alright up until the moment that Banner hulked out. After that, I was mind blown. I had no idea what was happening, and as any typical, actually no, I think this was back when I was 6 or 7, because I was in second or third grade then. But basically, what happened is I would like later that night I would have a I like 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 typical elementary schooler fashion. Um, I would get into a oh man, I want to say a traumatic experience. Oh, or basically I had nightmares about it, and it pretty much scarred me throughout my elementary school years. To the point where I actually had to see a psychiatrist. So about it. She helped me clear it up, and I'm no longer afraid of it, thankfully. Thankfully, because an 18-year-old being scared of a TV show, not really gonna fly with adults. Um, basically the pilot, like I said, is a two-parter. It's basically an origin story in which, unlike in the comics where Dr. Banner saves a pedestrian, he actually experiments on himself. Um, so the pilot opens with Banner having a dream of his wife Laura. I've please forgive me if I have forgotten the wife's name because it's been a while since I've seen that episode. So I'm just going from memory here. Um, basically, Laura dies in a tragic car accident, and Banner tries to save her by lifting the car up, but but he can't do it, and he basically has a nightmare about it. So he and so at the lab the next, I think it must be the next day because it cuts right to it, but um, the next day Banner and his or David I should say, the next day David and his assistant Elena Marks, at least I think it's Marks. I'm sorry. So basically, he and his assistant start interviewing people who experience. Basically, they're trying to find out what the phenomenon of inner strength is for humans whenever they're under periods of extreme stress. Um, so basically, this woman comes in and she experiences the same thing that Banner did. The only difference is that there's no casualty. Um, and so David, in his frustrated state, decides to go into the gamma room and well, gamma room, but I guess the radiology, blah, I can't speak today. The radiology clinic or whatever, and decides to experiment on himself. Thinking that he has it all figured out, he straps himself into a machine and takes a and unfortunately this is where it backfires on him. The machine isn't calibrated correctly, and so he ends up taking in over 2 million units of gamma rays. Um, he pretty much injects himself with it. So he's driving home that night, and there's a rainstorm. Um, Gets a blown out tire, pulls over, tries to put the tire back, and well, tries to pump the tire up. That is, and basically he gets angry and hulks out for the first time. Um, later the next morning he finds Elena who attempts to help Banner recreate the circumstances that caused his first transformation. Sadly though, as Banner has no recollection of the transformation itself or what the Hulk did, he can't explain to Elena what happened after he quote unquote blacked out. Um, so basically, they succeed in recreating the well, they don't succeed, but they succeed, but not in the way they intended. Basically, Banner has a nightmare about it again. The same exact dream, and that causes him to Hulk out. The Hulk breaks out of the pressure chamber that Banner was concealed within, and basically he calms down, returns to Banner, and a few scenes later, there's a lab explosion that happens. There's a lab explosion. Banner rushes in to try to save Elena, but he's too late. Hulk's out, and Elena pretty much dies in the Hulk's arms. There's a funeral reception, I should say, in which a tabloid reporter named Jack McGee, who was present um, during the death of Elena, believes that the Hulk was the one responsible for the destruction of the lab and for the deaths of Elena and supposedly David Banner. Um, so um, so basically the funeral ends and the series starts basically with Banner on the run and being followed by McGee. Each week, Banner is basically trying to find a cure for himself while helping guest stars out of situations and somehow going green. I believe that this is I think it's a more accurate portrayal as opposed to the comics in which well, I haven't read the full comic, but I've only read the first one. But I don't think he goes on the run in the first one. I think he just stays at the lab or something. But basically sadly, they didn't air. Well, they didn't air, but sadly, Bill Bixby died in 1993 from prostate cancer. I want to say. Well, I know it was cancer. I know that for a fact. I just don't know um what type of cancer it was. Not that I want to know. I'm just wondering what it was myself. Um, but basically, the part that really got to me about the series is that every single episode I watched, the ending music track, which is called "The Lonely Man," it always makes me want to cry. I believe I left a comment about that on a YouTube video of the song itself. But it's basically like the song itself basically um just resonates with the inner torment and sorrow that David is going through. Every single time he walks down the road at the end of the episode, and every time I hear that song, like I said before, I feel like sorry, and every single time I hear that song, I feel like crying my eyes out because it's so emotional, it's so compelling, it's so perfect, I guess, for the setting as well as for the tone of the series itself, which is basically in terms of like the setting of the story itself couldn't be any more perfect because, well, not only because of the acting, but also because of but basically everything about the series is perfect is what I'm trying to say. Um, and Ferrigno, he's probably the main reason why I've grown to like the series so much. Is mostly because of the fact that and later installments of the Hulk, such as the notorious 2003 movie. Well, not notorious, but I don't really know. A lot of people have been saying that it was bad. I thought it was pretty good, but um, I'm just going on the social norm here. Um, Such as the notorious, quote unquote notorious, 2003 movie, and then the live action, then the 2008 Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton. Um, and those ones, the Hulk is made into a CGI effect. Lou Ferrigno left a impression of the Hulk on me and on acting in general that has stuck with me to this day, and I want to thank him for that, I guess. Um, anyway, in terms of stars, guys, I will have to give this incredibly amazing and classical live action series a 5 out of 5. So anyway, if you guys haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. You will be amazed beyond your imaginations. I guarantee it. Um, anyway, if you like this video, please like it, share it, and subscribe. And well, subscribe if you want, I should say. Anyway, until the next video, I'm Dragon Fist 900, and Dragon Fist out.